and see what the year brought us, because it's been a long year, numerically the same as before, but we've been through a lot. But I think there's reason to celebrate in many ways, in 100 ways, what came of this year. So before I go into opening up the discussion, I would just like to say, if you haven't got the book yet, you might still be able to get it from wes-n-jess from ArtPush. Is that correct?
The website.
There's very
From the
few
website.
left.
Yes,
Very
if you go to artpush.org, you might still be able to secure a copy. And the beauty of it is it's got living artists in there, and you can contact them tomorrow and discuss their art pieces as you flip through your magnificent book. So with that being said, we're going to open it up and say, welcome, and we're close to the end of the year. So on the screen, I'm just going to go through and introduce people so they can say hello, say who they are. Since this is impromptu, we're going to take it really easy and see how the night flows. So I will start from my, oh, okay, I'm not married. From my left, which is your right, with Cheryl. Cheryl, who are you and what do you do?
Who am I and what do I do? Oh, wow. Well, I've lived in Alameda for 10 years, retired. We moved here actually 10 years after we retired even. And really I got into more seriously into art because of Wes-n-Jess. They started a meetup, a sketch meetup, and I wanted to get involved. I wanted to know the community. I wanted to focus my retirement on art because most of my life had been spent in other areas, and I was just determined to stay off boards and stay out of all the other things I had been doing. And since then, I've just been totally involved in art mostly, and also in writing. I'm just in the middle of trying to prepare to submit to publishers for my mid-grade novel that I've finished. So that's what I've been doing. And this is, I don't know how people survive without art and creative things especially during this past year. It's just been phenomenal. And of course, the art community itself has it's just enriched our lives in so many ways. So that's sort of where I'm at. The art piece that I have in the book is a watercolor. It's the largest watercolor I've done. It's, what is it, 20, I think it's like 30 by 22 or something. And I find it challenging to do large watercolor works. And prior to that, I had done watercolor in smaller areas, but smaller canvases, but mostly I'd been working in acrylic, so I've gotten back to watercolor. But really, I guess what really I want to say is that when I came here and got exposed through art, through wes-n-jess and the meetups, and then Studio 23 and on, I just got exposed to so many different people, so many different styles, so many different ideas. And it was everything from people who had never even drawn anything before to people who were professional artists. And I just drew from everything they willingly and generously offered. So that's where I've sort of been at the last 10 years.
Beautifully put. Wonderful. It just occurred to me that we haven't talked about your piece. So brilliant. Are you willing to talk about your piece tonight?
Yes, I can do.
Okay, we'll get right back to you after we've done
Okay.
a round of introductions. But
Sure.
I'm looking forward to that. There we go. I mean, we totally missed Cheryl out of the mix. So I look forward to talking about your piece.
You.
Right below Cheryl, I have the other right, sir.
Well, hello, Victor. How are you doing? Hello, everyone. I'm doing fine. I've been able to get out most mornings. I get out at about 5 o'clock and do the lake marriage stroll. And that kind of keeps me pretty healthy through the days. I too have just finished a project. It's a book publishing.
Oh,
catalog of work. And it came out just about the same time as this book did. So I did
Oh,
pretty
nice.
good with that.
Wow.
And,
Wow.
and hopefully 2 other pieces are online ready to be finished. And I haven't told you, all of you anyway, that I use bleach for my medium instead of regular paint.
Oh.
And the bleach on black watercolor paper. So we have something in common, Cheryl. Watercolor paper, it turns gold.
Oh, wow.
So gold and black are my traditional colors now.
Oh, nice.
I've been doing it for about 20 years. And it's been spread around all over the nation and in a few other countries besides. So it's I'm kind of proud of bleach.
Awesome. Awesome. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for that. And I recall your talk, the wonderful talk you gave about your piece. It was just so enriching and so enlightening. And I hope more people reach you and have discussions with you about your work, because it's just so magnificent to hear you speak of it and the path you've taken to get to where you are.
I have another show coming up Saturday in Marin City.
Awesome.
Another virtual show.
Awesome. Could we possibly put the link on our page? I don't know how we'll promote that.
I'll get it, then I'll put it on the, I guess the ArtPush page. Would that be the proper place to put it?
Send it to me. Send it to me, author. I'll put it up for you.
Okay, I will do.
Awesome. Thank you so much, sir. All right. And I'd like to move on to Robert Graf. We haven't met before. Welcome. And I take it you're in the book too, Robert?
Yes, hello. Yeah, my name is Robert Graf, and one of my pieces is in the book as well. So one of the things that I was focusing on this year is learning something new to always grow. So something I've gotten into recently is doing embroidery work. And I was working on these hats for the Crucible, which is an industrial arts organization here in the city of Oakland. And so I donated those hats to them, and now they're selling them and using the proceeds to help fund their art community there. So yeah, learn something new.
Awesome. All right, Robert, will you be okay to talk about your work tonight? Just a few minutes to chat about your piece in the book.
Yeah, definitely happy to chat about it.
Okay, awesome, great. So far on the list, I've got Cheryl, Deirdre, and Robert to talk about their work. Oh, actually, Deirdre, I haven't asked you yet if you're okay to talk about your work. But it looks like we're gonna have a discussion tonight, which is fantastic. So I'm super excited. We're going to quickly go through the room so everybody has a chance to introduce themselves as community does. So next I would like to go to, is it Kevis? Kevis, can you hear us?
Yes, hi, let me start my video.
There you go.
Yeah, hi. I am just generally an appreciator of art. My relative Amy Brownson is in the book, but she could not be here tonight. So,
all right.
So yeah, she's actually in LA doing a residence there.
What is that piece that's in?
It's called Blue One. That's in the book.
Blue One.
Blue One, yeah.
This author's piece, huh?
Right.
Oh, is that that's a
textile?
Textile, yeah.
Textile, yeah. She makes it out of strips of knit fabrics that she found in the knitting mills in LA, just in the dumpster. She went dumpster diving.
Wow.
So that's what she works with right now. That's all of her art is textiles.
Well, welcome, Kevis, and thanks for sharing that. Always nice to hear another perspective of an artist. Welcome to the chat.
Thank you.
All right. I would like to move on to, is it Carolina?
Hola.
Oh, Carolina.
Carolina.
Okay, got you. Welcome.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good. Are you an artist? Are you part of the art community or just an admirer
Yes.
of the arts?
Yes, and I have a piece in the book as well.
All right. Okay, our list is getting long. All right, Carolina, I'll get right back to you to talk briefly about your piece. Welcome to the platform. We're so happy to have you here. All right. And Bonnie, welcome back.
Hi, Victor.
How have you been?
I'm good. I've been busy. I'm doing a lot of different projects. I taught a class on ceramics online, which was quite a challenge. I just finished a calendar of my encaustic pieces. So I'm putting that out there and starting to get back to the encaustic. You know, it's something I've really missed, but I'm also taking a drawing class on Sundays, which has really been an experience for me because drawing has been something I've been kind of like afraid of or something. And so it's helping me work through that issue. And, you know, I've been an artist for over 30 years and I've been afraid to draw. So it's like, it will enable me to put drawing into my encaustic, which is really cool. Awesome. So those are the main things I'm doing right now. And I just finished another outline for another ceramics class in January. So
keeping busy.
Yeah. So keeping me busy.
Awesome. Well, welcome back. All right. Deirdre, welcome. Do tell us a little bit about yourself before we jump into your work.
Okay. Hi, guys. I'm Deirdre, and I've been an artist about 10 years. I kind of just reached a point in my life where I decided that I wanted to become an artist, and that's what I did. I had very little training and very little support as a child, even though I was interested in art. So I've been creating about 10 years. I make heart work, like heart work, the color, lots of line, lots of healing properties, I believe. Good vibes, and I'm just happy to be here. So, welcome.
All right, Wes, could you just give us a wave so that people see your face? That's Wes. You want to say a little something about yourself, Wes, for those who don't know you?
I could go on for hours about myself. No, it's you know. Happy to be here and seeing a lot of friendly faces. I miss seeing everybody in real life. So thanks everybody for popping on Zoom and saying hello. It's nice to see y'all. I'm an artist.
Thank you, Wes. Thank you very much. And Jessica?
Hey, everybody. How do I follow that up? That was sarcasm. I'm really happy to see everybody here. Yeah, I haven't about as many good words as Wesley does. I just know that, you know, that whenever I come to this, and I was telling Victor to these group art talks that, you know, sometimes I come kicking and screaming, but every time I leave, my energy is like flipped around so much, and I feel so good and so inspired and so connected to other people that that I really crave it now. So, and yeah, you guys know me. I'm an artist and stuff too.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you. Lastly, Sara and Dave, could you guys introduce yourselves?
Hello, I'm Sara. Obviously, this is Dave.
Is it?
I think so.
Okay. It's Dave.
We are artists. We have a little gallery right next to Studio 23 called 3 Dot Art Gallery. And it's only been relatively recently that I felt comfortable calling myself an artist. My background is in science. And then when we moved out here in 2015, I was in between jobs. And so I wanted to keep my mind busy and myself busy. And I started actually started with making jewelry, and then I got kind of bored with that because I was limited to what I could buy online. So I trained myself how to cut and etch metal so I could make my own pendants. And I went through different experimental processes to figure out what process worked best, and kind of came up with my own unique style for designing these where I call it wearable art, because it's a lot more, it's the pendants are more art pieces than anything else. And I also started painting several years ago, about 2000, I think into 2016, I did my first painting, and I've just fallen in love with it. I've always loved art. My first major in college was art history, but I just never felt like I could produce it until I really tried and focused on it. And being in the art community has been really inspiring, and hearing what other people have to say and hearing feedback on my artwork, it's more valuable than anything I've ever had in my life. I just love being part of the art community.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yes. I've been doing art for quite some time, but I have to say, since moving here to Northern California and meeting Jess and Wes, my art creativity, whatever you want to call it, ideas just exploded out of the, just went crazy. Excuse me. In part, thanks to Sara for pushing me, because I'm one of those artists that, like, I'm not showing my stuff to anybody. How am I going to show this to anybody? What am I going to do? Or the confidence in is just.
Yeah, hey kid, you won't be out in that stupid little fucking police.
The confidence level is it can be very trying sometimes. But thanks to Sara for pushing me, and having my first show here in Studio 23 there's no words.
I made him enter, by the way.
Yes, really.
I forced it.
But since then, I just been, having a great time meeting all the artists that we've met along the way, being inspired by each and every one that I've come across or met or talked we've come across. And yes, that sounds like a broken record of this year being very hard and very trying, but the ideas are still there and the motivation is still there. It's just finding a way to express it. And it's been very trying, like we've all said, but I have faith that we will keep showing art and continue to have the energy that we have been having.
I have a question real quick for Carolina. Is Olivia coming back on? You're muted.
She's calling her.
Oh, I wanted to show off Olivia's art.
Yes, Olivia is also an artist.
Yeah.
She's probably the youngest one here, and we have her pieces.
We've bought several of her pieces, the youngest artist on here.
So
look at that.
There she is. Oh, wow.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
So no matter the age, everyone here in this community has been a tremendous inspiration for all that you have to offer.
There's Livy.
Hello, Olivia.
She's 12.
All right. Thank you all so much. As Dave said, the inspiration is monumental when you're in the same place as like-minded people. And I just want to share that the first gallery I showed at in America was Studio 23. And I remember the very day I drove up to Studio 23, and it changed my life, because then I found a community, and the rest is history, because here we are now today because of that connection. So with that, I just want to thank Jess and Wes, along with ArtPush, for making this happen, because it takes faith and it takes faith in an idea that nobody else has, that you don't even know is going to work, to put it out there and push it until it happens. That's why I love the name ArtPush, because somebody keeps muting me. Okay, with that being said, we're going to jump right in. We're going to start with Cheryl. She'll talk. We do have accommodation for 5 minutes per artist to talk about their piece. And then we'll have a Q&A section after that, where we can ask the artists anything we want to know about them. So the rundown will be Cheryl will go first, and then we'll be followed by Deirdre, and then Robert will follow, and we'll finish off with Carolina. Are we okay with that order? Is anybody feeling like they're on the wrong number?
That's good. It's good.
Okay, good to know. We like to accommodate everybody. Okay, with that being said, Jess and Wes, could you please pull up Cheryl's art piece, and Cheryl will walk us through her piece. While they do that, technical challenges. Are you guys having issues with that?
Yeah, give her a second. She's pulling it up.
Okay, brilliant. There we go. I was just about to jump in. Okay. Obviously, that's not her piece. So Cheryl, as they pull it up, what was the inspiration to your piece? What did you draw from? Cheryl, we can't hear you.
Is that better?
Yes, that's good.
Okay, the inspiration really started about a year before that, and I had been, I'm just passionate about elephants and their relationships with each other, and how incredibly sophisticated and the elephants are in terms of, with their young, with their sisters, with their brothers, with their uncles, with their other communities, and how they communicate across all of those different communities. They're just absolutely amazing. I've read so much about them, and I'm just passionate about them. So I started just painting in acrylic, large pieces in acrylic, not even thinking about what I might do with it. And I ended up with 4 or 5 large pieces in acrylic, and did a fundraising show for the Global Elephant March. And wes-n-jess, of course, were helpful in putting that together, and we did that at the Alameda Brewery, and raised some money, and more importantly, I think, awareness of just how much we need to treasure these incredible creatures. I mean, there's so much wisdom in elephants. And so, after doing acrylic for so long, I wanted to get back into watercolor, and I hadn't done any watercolor for ages. And I had this lovely big piece of watercolor paper, and I'd never done anything that big. And I had not planned this. I just wanted to paint some elephants. So I took my canvas and I started just putting color on the canvas and thinking about their relationships again. And this is a piece that is an expression of that. It's just how much they are so connected with each other. Every piece I've done is elephants with each other. So that was really the inspiration. I could talk about elephants for an hour, easily. Having read stories about them and how incredibly intelligent they are, how they problem solve, how they're the only creatures that I've read about that can go from a domestic elephant, a working elephant. I'm thinking about the story of elephants taking teak out of Burma, in herds of 50. And at night they would just go off into the wild and feed and mate, and then they come right back in the morning and start working again. There's no other creatures on earth that do that, And every time I read about them, I read more and more and more, and I'm just more and more impressed. So that's where the inspiration for this piece came from. And I tend to I tend to ignore the actual gray elephants, or sometimes you'll see elephants with a purple cast or whatever. I just chose colors that I thought expressed the warmth and their character more than anything else. And I was pleased with how it worked out, because, as I say, I'd never done anything that large before in watercolor. So that's sort of where it came from.
Beautiful, beautiful. When you look at the current conditions we are in, and you juxtapose it to the lives of elephants, and you put art into the mix, how do you see the conversation there? How do we compare to elephants? What could we have done better that we can learn from elephants in your perspective?
Well, what we can learn from elephants is cooperation. I mean, elephants are incredibly cooperative. For example, they can communicate with in many different ways. They communicate through their trunks, you know, and these whining, you know, we tend to associate with the sounds of elephants, and also through their feet. They can send vibrations for miles and miles, and they will send vibrations to other herds of elephants to let them know whether where the good watering holes are and good feeding places are, or when danger is happening. They do this among themselves, and I think we can learn so much about the cooperation of elephants. That's, I think, the first thing.
That's really beautiful.
Also their ability to actually relate and connect with another species, like a human being. They can have very personal relationships with a human being. I mean, one of the books I read is called The Elephant Company, and it starts out with the person who tells the story, and it's a wonderful story. And he thinks of this major elephant who was the head of his 50 herd team that was taking teak out of Burma in the 1920s right through to the 50s. He talks of him as his brother. That's how they think of each other, and they have that kind of relationship. You know, like dogs have that kind of relationship with humans as well. But I'm just, the more I read about them, the more I'm just totally amazed, and the wisdom that they carry with them that we lose. When we lose a species or a language or a culture, we lose all the wisdom that goes with that. So these creatures have been around for thousands of years, and they've learned a lot, you know. And so I think we have a great deal to learn from elephants and other creatures as well. But I'm passionate about elephants.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. That's why I love these talks. I have never have thought about, elephants at all, you know, in that light. And it's amazing to see how much wisdom can be passed through another person's passion. So thanks so much for sharing that. If people have any questions, please do put them in the chat so that 15 minutes before we log off, we will have a Q&A section in case people want to chat with the artist, ask any questions. I've got a lot of questions about elephants and, the whole dynamic of society and stuff like that. So thanks so much for sharing that, Cheryl. And that's a beautiful piece. All right. Fantastic. We're going to move on to Deirdre. Am I pronouncing your name right?
No.
Okay, please correct me.
Deirdre. Like
Deirdre.
Deirdre. Yes.
Deirdre. All right, welcome, Deirdre. And Jess and Wes, if you can pull up the art piece after you finish laughing at the host, that's okay. And while they do that, so could you talk about the inspiration behind your piece? I know you spoke a little bit about what you make, but this particular piece, what inspired you and why that one to go into the art book?
Well, I had a hard time choosing which piece to put into the art book because I do a lot of different types of styles of art, of painting. And this piece was actually something that I did the first year that I started making art. And my inspiration was, I guess you can't see it yet, but it's hummingbirds. And hummingbirds have always been really special to me in a spiritual sense. So I draw from a lot of my spiritual background in the things that I make. So I used acrylic paint to do a background. And then I just painted the flower and I painted the hummingbirds. And I wasn't able to paint them in motion, so I painted the swirls to kind of give the impression that the hummingbirds were, of course, in motion. And then I used acrylic paint pens to do some of the designs you see in the background that I just wanted to give kind of an otherworldly nature experience. I don't do a great job with painting realistically. So everything I do is a little bit, I guess you could say, funky. And this piece is now at, a friend purchased it in Arizona and it's there with her now. And I just chose it because actually after I painted this, several years after I painted this, my mom died, and hummingbirds have been coming to me ever since then. And so this painting was a little bit predictive of what ended up happening in my life. I've had hummingbirds literally come and come right in front of my face and hover and follow me, and it's just been amazing that they've been in my life in this way. So yeah, I guess when you look at it, you can see that it isn't a very accomplished artist that made this, but it's an artist that has a good sense of color and composition, and you can also see that I like to use dots. So I used a lot of little gold dots on the hummingbirds just to make them appear shimmering. And that's all.
All right. Well, firstly, I want to apologize because I just saw the chat and realized that you did not want to talk.
Oh, no, it's okay.
All right. But secondly, I want to comment on the aspect that you said you're not an accomplished artist. I think one of the things that art does is get rid of the labels, and being accomplished as an artist basically means you've gone through the system. And I believe the true artist is the child who draws on the wall, on the kitchen table, on the refrigerator. That's where we are. That's who we truly are. So I believe you're as much an artist as anybody. And that piece is absolutely beautiful. In my perspective, I think it's an amazing piece. Secondly, about what you said, what I picked up was you came in on a spiritual note, and then we got into the physical. So I really like these two aspects of the spiritual and the physical meeting, because you spoke about the materiality of the piece, but at the same time, there's also this other spiritual element where you spoke about your mother and the phenomena of the hummingbirds following you around. You know, life is so mystical, and thank you for sharing that, because, you know, there's so much debate about whether there's anything out there, and this is proof of it, that there's more to life than meets the eye. So thanks so much for sharing that. I really want to move this on so we open it up for questions, because I've got a lot of questions, but being the host, I'm limited to a few. But Deirdre, thank you so much for that. That was beautiful, and that piece is beautiful. Please do not ever put the block in your mind that you're not accomplished. Of course you are. I mean, there's no other one like you. So I believe you should own it. Thanks so much for that. We're gonna move on to Robert now. If our dear hosts can pull up Robert's work. Robert, welcome.
Yeah, welcome. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
All right, awesome. While our Jess and Wes pull up your piece, could you tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind the piece?
Yeah, this one's interesting. It says this particular piece is a three-dimensional piece. And what I like to do sometimes is I'll create a piece and then I'll actually photograph it. So sometimes it's not the piece I'm creating that's sort of like the end thing that I'm trying to present. It's actually photographing that piece from different perspectives. And the idea that I was thinking is that this is actually a neon sign that I created custom using different materials, both like metal, neon, and woodworking. And this is a sign for an art collective that I'm part of called the Film Art Collective. And instead of actually showing the outside of the sign, I wanted to invoke a sense of curiosity as well as like mystery of what's going on the inside. And I like that idea of being able to look at things that are just, instead of looking at it at a surface level, you can really, once you kind of go down into the details, you dig down and see what's happening on the inside. And so here we're actually looking at the inside of what the neon sign is looking like. You have some like metal work that I was doing on the left side, and you have this neon tubing that we're running this high voltage electricity through to create that really beautiful glowing warm white. And then on the right side is the woodworking panels. And this neon light produces a really beautiful glow that actually backlights the neon, the front of the panel. So you get this really warm glow. So you don't actually see the final product here, but I wanted to give that sense to it. Something that's really important in my projects is discovery and the journey through the project. So like for me, learning is the most really important, as well as like developing the community. And being able to be a member at the Crucible has been really important for me through the years, both getting started in neon, and then I was doing like the metalworking, like how to use the plasma cutter to actually cut out the letters in the sign. This is like with 1/4-inch steel on the left side. So it was really fun to be able to do that. And then also like integrating the woodworking as well. And I got to meet some like new cool people over at the Crucible as well as part of working on this project. And then through going with the photography and the project, I was getting involved with the ArtPush as well. So it's neat to be able to kind of integrate these different communities and work with the multiple media as well. Neon is a passion of mine. It's something has gone away over the years with all the new LED and that kind of technology, but it's actually making a comeback. And I really wanted to showcase the beauty of these noble gases. That when you have just neon gas inside of a tube and you light with electricity, it creates this really beautiful glow that is just really warm and welcoming. And you know, we tend to see neon signs like up in a business, it's up in a window, and it has kind of a commercial sense to it. So I always want to expose people to this neon as an art form, that you can actually use it as a media for different projects, for painting or sculptures and things like that. And so it's a great way to kind of integrate that into a new type of space that we haven't seen before. So I like to create curiosity and invoke that interest in things that we see as being normal things, but putting them into a new context to kind of like have us ask questions and poke that curiosity.
Beautiful, beautiful. So is it about the materiality of it or the effect it produces that drew you to neon? Is it about its nature or what it produces?
For me, neon, I'm both artistic and also I'm also kind of like into electronics and the science aspect and the physics. So I like the aspect that it's very artistic, but there's also a very strong technical component to it. So I like that as neon as an art form, and it's a lot of fun to work with. It challenges, and also it creates like a sense of like accomplishment, because it requires a great deal of skill to work with the glass.
Wow, amazing. Amazing. Yeah, it's so interesting to be in these talks, because from talking about elephants to hummingbirds to neon, it's a mind bender. It's it just takes you through this realm where you're like, wow, life is so rich. And I just want to thank the artists for making that possible, and the willingness to speak about your work, because you could have chosen to say no, and it would have been a totally different dynamic. So I really want to acknowledge and thank you for being so open and free with your wisdom and your experience. And the last talk, we also had an amazing talk where we went on a different island and spoke about a different culture. And then we went into bleaching, a reductive form of painting with the author, Wright. So this is just phenomenal for me, and I'm super excited, as you can tell. But being the host, I'll say thank you, Robert. Very, very exciting stuff. We'll open it up for questions. We'll have time for that. And if anybody has questions for any of the artists, please just put them in the chat, or we can we can talk about it 15 minutes before we close off. So thanks so much for that.
Okay.
We move on to Carolina. So,
hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. So while Jess and Wes pull up your piece, could you tell us what was the inspiration and why that one for the book?
Yes, I've been, I always like nature and especially flowers because I like color. So I'm very inspired, especially by different types of flowers and trees that has a lot of color, as you can see. And especially this year, I've been doing a lot of different types of flowers. I think this pandemic made me, do something that is happy. And my paintings, I never use how you say, paintbrush. All my paintings are drip paint that I use. I use straight from the bottle. I use acrylics. So all my art is done by a dripping art. I paint on the floor, and I like rhythm. So you can see, I first of all I paint the background, and then I start creating the flowers and whatever is behind the flowers. And I put I use acrylics, I said, and I also I love glitter because it makes it shine more. And I picked this piece because it's one of my favorite. I think it has a lot of rhythm, and the color really popped up. And yeah, I've been having a lot of fun doing a lot of flowers during COVID-19, being inside a lot.
That's interesting that some people totally withdrew from their practice, and some people were more drawn to their practice during COVID-19. So can you tell me a little bit about why you don't use brushes? Is there a reason as to why?
I don't know. It's just this, for me, it's more spontaneous. I'm a big fan. One of my favorite painters is Jackson Pollock. And I've been inspired by the style for many, many years, since I remember. I've always been doing that style, just dripping and kind of controlling how the color falls on the canvas, or sometimes I use acrylics too. And it's just fascinating to me. It's kind of like motion. It's more motion.
Awesome.
And learn more and more the control of it.
So I know flowers are beautiful things. I know flowers make us happy. But why flowers during COVID?
I think they make you feel happy. Plus, my flowers are kind of little bit imagination to mix with reality. So they're from my own world, where I go when I paint. So it has been a lot for me, very therapeutic almost. Do a lot of art. I've been doing more art than ever, just because I've had to be inside a lot. And flowers are kind of uplifting to me.
Awesome. All right. My main takeaway is, firstly, you did it for yourself. It's your passion, and you chose your favorite piece for the book. Some artists choose their best piece. Some artists consult other people. So I really like the aspect of confidence in that, to choose something for you, something you like. And I say this for any students who might be watching this too. It's a big lesson in putting yourself first. It's important for us to acknowledge ourselves. But by so doing, we share that joy with the world, because now so many people have access to your work and enjoy your favorite piece. So thank you for the flowers. Really appreciate
it. Oh, thank you.
Awesome. We do have two other artists in the room, And like we said, we like to stick to our word. We said this is going to be impromptu. This is going to be free flowing. And so I would like to welcome Tracy. And forgive me if I mispronounce your name. Is it Annamarta? Is that correct?
My last name?
Yes, it is correct.
Okay. All right. Great.
That's
Great.
somebody else.
All right. So I'll go back to Tracy. Tracy, would you like to talk about your piece? Would you like to introduce yourself, or you just want to give us a wave? You're muted.
That happened. Am I back?
Yes, you're back.
Okay, sorry. I'm sure I'll chat about it.
Okay, awesome. All right. While Jess and Wes pull it up, could you tell us a bit about yourself, your background, where you're from, why you submitted the piece to the book?
Oh, well, first of all, I want to thank Jess and Wes for including me. That's so sweet of you guys. I really appreciate it. I'm from Oakland, California, but I live in Alameda for the last 9 years, which is when I moved away from Oakland for 10 years and then came back to the Bay Area. And that's how I found Jess and Wes in their studio, because I was looking for other artists to sort of just, inspire me and look for the community. And I found it because they're so sweet. This particular piece and what I'm doing right now is a lot of Indian ink and acrylic and water. And I also don't use a lot of brushes. I use a lot of, I'll let things dry and then, or the inks and the acrylics and the water sometimes just takes different forms together. I'm, like most artists, just inspired by nature. For the most part, I'm not a political artist. I always wanted to be, but it's just not what gets my juices flowing. I haven't painted much at all during COVID, which makes me sad. I had hoped I'd be one of those artists that because I was unemployed for more than 7 months. I'm a hairdresser and I wasn't allowed to work. So I thought, I'll get all this art done, but I didn't. I got 2 pieces done the whole time.
Got you. That's a beautiful piece.
Thank you. I need to learn how to photograph better, but.
We all got to learn something new every day. So welcome to the club. Could you speak more? I see a lot of water elements, but the color takes me to foliage, more like plants and trees and stuff like that. So could you speak a bit about your color choices?
Well, I just, like I said, nature is my big deal. And, I spent a few years just painting things that were more water centric. Because I travel a lot to Croatia and I'm on the Adriatic almost in the summers every year. And the water's and Costa Rica too. And the water's just so gorgeous in those places that I'm just always drawn to it. And my family is always about water. And this time I just decided to put a little more green into the picture. And there was a whole series with this. This was just the one I submitted, but I don't know. It just reminded me of plants like leaves and succulents and tropical plants that you'd find in random ground covering in a rainforest or something.
Okay. All right. I got the connection. Thank you so much for sharing that. I say I got the connection because we're at a time where we're faced with a pandemic that affects your breathing, and plants do produce oxygen for us. So it's an interesting piece for these times that you produce. And I think it's a powerful piece in terms of the fact that we got to turn back to nature. We've got to honor nature. We got to see nature. because that's what,
preserve nature.
absolutely, that's the foundation of it. And I must add that the image of Tracy's work in the book is high res. What Wes showed us is a low res preview of it. So don't think that it won't be good in the book. It's actually really stunning in the book. So thanks so much for sharing that, Tracy. And it's magnificent to see the thread of nature through this, whether it's through light, through Robert's work, that we see the nature of light, or we see flowers in nature, or Cheryl's elephants, or Deirdre's hummingbirds. There's a flow to it. There's a beautiful flow to it that comes to mind. And one of the particular things I want to mention about that flow is that when the Young Museum put up an exhibition, there was a wonderful thread that happened within our community where Yolanda linked up with Cheryl, and Cheryl linked up with, people linked up to make things happen. And now we in this space because artists linked up to make things happen. So I just want to plant that seed to say, how important are artists in society, in our community? If anybody wants to comment about that after Annamarta speaks about her work, that will be awesome. So Annamarta, it's your stage. Do tell us where you're from and what inspires you, as wes-n-jess pull up your piece.
Sure. I'm from the East Coast originally. My ancestry is Armenian. And I actually have a little strain of gypsy blood, or Roma. It actually goes right back to Rajasthan. They found the National Geographic genetic testing traced it to Rajasthan, India. So that was interesting. And coming from an oppressed culture that, has been genocided, and you probably heard about, our land was just taken from us again, Artsakh. Those themes kind of run through my art, but I also feel it like in a universal sense. I always feel a lot of compassion for the oppressed and for nature and just injustice. So and one of the themes in my art are the well, this piece in particular, I was trying to work with the idea of boundaries because of the horrific, horrendous wall that person that was our president wanted to, has been building at the border, which was going to destroy different wildlife refuges, and including a butterfly sanctuary. And so I wanted to kind of show how, in an ideal world, in a world where we were all informed by our hearts, the idea of boundaries are fluid, in that, I feel like with intuition, if we were more in touch with our intuition and guidance, we would know where we were supposed to be, and that there would be an organic quality to migration and into boundaries. And I was trying to show that in nature, there aren't the kind of boundaries that we put up. They couldn't live. There's no walls in the ocean or in the sky. So I was exploring that. And I also had this idea of a kind of a bazaar, a cosmic bazaar. And I was going to I had all these ideas, but this is what I created in the amount of time I had. So if that makes any sense at all, I had tons of ideas, so many overlapping but.
It looks like you stuck true to your word. You don't like boundaries. You are unbounded, so to speak. It is a beautiful piece. It's an amazing piece. And I really love the way you spoke of the wall and how we're not even acknowledging that we are disrupting nature's flow by building that. We keep expanding our boundaries without recognition of other natural occurrences. Hence the position we are in now, because we just mistreated the earth so much it had to take care of itself. So thanks so much for that conscious piece. It's just so, before I let you go, we're gonna jump into Howie's piece and then we'll open up the discussion. But can you talk more about the materials you use? Because I see, yeah, do tell us.
Sure. Basically, I got into this it's wire, jeweler's wire, and beading. I've done some welding, and I love working with metal. But because I work, and I don't have access to equipment right now, one way I could work with metal was in this way. So that's what I chose to do. So I did do different things: knitting, crochet, weaving, wire wrapping, you know, things like that. And I like the quality. I like metal. So this was my way of working with metal without, you know, welding.
Wow, beautiful. It's so photogenic. It translates so well in photograph. It's an amazing piece.
Well, I have an incredible photographer. I mean, it's
That
really,
helps.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for sharing that. This turned out to be an amazing night. You know, again, I don't want to go into all the reflections I'm having about it before we give the platform before I take away the platform from other people. So we are about to wrap up. Jess and Wes, is it okay if we go slightly over time? Is that okay? Yep. Okay, good, great. So Howard, you're on next. We're gonna take a look at Howard's work before we go into open forum discussion. Oh, okay, all right. I'm having feelings about your piece already. All right, Howard, do tell us about the piece.
Yes, well, I was asked to, I wanted to submit something, but actually this was a photograph I made when we were traveling in Europe. And I needed to submit something that was made within the last 10 years. But had it been up to me, I've been interested in politics ever since the 50s when we picketed Woolworths for fair employment. And I was on Lyndon B. Johnson's War on Poverty Board of Directors in Berkeley, representing an organization called the Welfare Rights Organization. And that was started by a guy named Roscoe Proctor. You might have heard of the Neville Proctor Library in Oakland. Roscoe Proctor was a communist and a friend of mine. And we started this organization where what happened was the welfare, I don't know, it's going to take me too much time. But anyway, I spent a lot of time photographing people and housing in Oakland. But it was before 2010, so it couldn't be included in the book. And this is just a photograph of some friends walking through the subway tube in London on the way to catch another train. But I'm going to send you a message and some links, and I'd like to talk to you about some of the other stuff I've done.
I would love to hear about it. Jess and Wes, that's a great idea for the next talk. As I was looking at the image, and you talked about politics and, you know, fighting the good fight, something that came to my mind was, but you took photographs of people from behind, you know, it looks like, you know what I mean? I didn't know they were your friends. So tell me more about why this particular photograph, because it does have that London feel of going into the tube and, you know, that constrained feeling.
Forever.
Yeah, well, that's why I took it, because it literally felt like people going into a tube. And it was made in about 2013, I think, when Cheryl grew up in the UK. My wife Cheryl grew up in the UK, and so we traveled there several times. And this was one of those times, and it just reminded me. The tube reminded me of the tube.
Gotcha.
I wanted to capture that.
But Howard always captures the energy of the people he photographs, whether it's from behind, whatever they're doing, they are always capture that energy. of people, you know.
Absolutely. But what I like about it, it speaks so much of our time now.
Mm.
You know, when you see we're now in bubbles, you know, you stay with your friends and your family, you know, so this is a little bubble going through a tube, you know, through these directives of the current times. It's a profound piece.
And if
Yeah.
you look at if you look at one of the ads on the left, it says "Back to Forever."
Gotcha. Yeah, that's just, yeah, the going. And if you actually look behind that, it says a mask of innocence. So the mask is already there. You know, it's just phenomenal. All right, thank you so much for sharing that. I would talk on forever about this, as I would about elephants and hummingbirds and neon lights and flowers and
neons, yeah.
Sorry? Yeah. I would go on forever. And Tracy,
I didn't do it. It switched.
Tracy, your piece was phenomenal because it spoke of the times, the breath, you know, the breath we can't take so freely. And Annamarta, your piece also about this unconscious moving forward, but are we really moving forward when we're disrupting nature so much? You know, so, and with that, I would like to end the host part and open it up for discussion by saying, we are individuals in the realm of infinite differentiation. No one is like us. And I speak to you, Deirdre, because it doesn't take a school to make a great artist. It takes a great teacher, and teachers are not found in schools. They're found in communities. Teachers are your friends amongst you who tell you the truth in the gentle kindness and honesty of a friend. So I'm here as part of the community to say you're an artist in every right possible. So embrace it. And with that, I would like to open it up for discussion.
I would like to hear about your piece, Victor.
Oh, about
and
my
look at it. And
hey, David. Well, welcome, David. We kind of missed you in the beginning. So I'm gonna beat the technology guys by doing this.
Yeah, hello.
So this is kind of a hard piece for me. If you can just put me in speaker view so you can fill up the screen.
I am sharing the screen.
Yeah, this piece is called New Beginnings, and I painted it in 2017, a month after I signed the divorce papers. And it was the hardest piece to make, but it was the first piece I made after 7 years of not painting. I won't go into details about the divorce, but where it left me was...
Why is it not showing me the shared screen?
No, you don't have to share your screen. It's okay. So where that left me was I was starting over. And if you look at the piece, there's a dark side and there's a light side. When I paint, I don't think about it. I just go with the flow. I just paint whatever comes to mind. And this piece kind of like encapsulates the dark side and the light side we have. You know, like Russell Conwell said, people are neither good nor bad. Actually, just Shakespeare would say, people are neither good nor bad, but thinking makes it so. And when I look back into my married life, I came out as the person who was right. I came out as she was wrong, I'm right, and that's the way it's going to be. And through the grace of life, I managed to grow out of that. Sorry, this is a bit emotional for me, but I managed to grow out of that and realize that I've got to own my piece. I've got to own what I did wrong, what I did right in the relationship. And out of that came a lot of growth. And this piece was part of that meditation where I was thinking, what went right? What went wrong? What do I own? And it was so joyful to get back in the studio and paint again. And when I look back, it was art that saved my mental health, because it was a safe space where I could be myself and recalibrate, come back to life. And like Bob Dylan says, with no direction home, it doesn't matter. As long as I was on a moving train of art, I was okay. So that's that piece. I'll end it there. Yeah, you can take it off the screen. Thank you. It's kind of odd talking about your own piece. So with that, we'd like to go back to host mode and say, yeah, do we have any questions, comments for the artist to artist, questions, comments?
Hey, how's it going? Can we show Jess's piece?
Yeah, sure. The author, Sara, did you want to say something?
I'll wait for Wes.
Oh, okay.
Was that Wes that spoke?
You know it.
All right.
Where's my book?
All right. Okay. Whose piece do we want to show?
Jess's. Jess, can you show your own piece? Can you unmute and talk about it and show the work and do 17 things at once? It should be.
I'm trying. I'm trying.
While she
I
does
could
that,
explain the situation here to you guys, but I can't, and I'm doing my best.
There's a lot of screens and switching and clicking and
when I go to click somebody's name, the names jump around, and all of a sudden I'm clicking somebody else the wrong name.
it tries to mute and unmute and then it's
anyway, you guys don't need to hear my sob story.
It's fun. It makes it interesting.
So
share your screen.
Oh, sorry. Hold on. I don't even have it pulled up yet, so give me just a second.
There we go.
All right. While Jessica gets ready, I would just like to remind people who will be watching this that the art book is available on artpush.org, and the talks are available on the FridayArtWalk.com website. So if you want to catch up with this, you can find the art book there on artpush.org.
Oh, I thought
I
they
think
were
there's
on.
like 10 left.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, wow. I thought that.
Okay.
So this piece, I did the clouds and the sky. I wanted to do a study of clouds, so I had done that like a year ago, and I really liked how they came out, and I wanted to. I didn't know what I was going to incorporate on the front, but I was kind of like, I had it sitting around and I was kind of thinking, what am I going to add to it? And then I was going through some stuff in my house to get rid of some things, and I had these stacks of CDs from pretty intense therapy sessions about learning how to create boundaries with people. And they were very personal. My therapist recorded our sessions so that I could look back on them, and she had this really unusual technique, and so she would give me the recorded sessions, which you can know are like very, very personal. They had to deal with, well, you know, with a lot of stuff, and I didn't want them to get out into the world. So seriously, this was all like an organic process. I wanted to destroy them because I wanted to throw them out, but I didn't want someone to get a hold of the CDs and then hear my crazy stories. So I decided I would chop them up with a hammer. So I had all the CDs like in stacks, and I was like outside hitting them and chopping them up into pieces. And as I was chopping them up, it actually felt really good. And then they look so beautiful. I decided that that I want to keep them because I want to do something with them. I'm like, there's got to be something I can do with these, like artistically. And
zoom into them.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. So yeah, they're low res. Oh, just so you guys know, they're low res in InDesign because InDesign shows the entire image a lot better, but online you get the high resolution. So I've been going back and forth between the two, trying to get the best visual for everybody's piece. Oops. Hold on. Okay, so so then I decided I wanted to incorporate them into a piece, and I had the cloud thing that I was holding on to for like a year, and I'm drawn to drawing women. I have a tendency to draw women a lot, and I knew I had this image in my head of a woman with flowers and then like an explosion coming out of her head, and I don't know, it just kind of all like came together, and after it was done, I kind of start to figure out the meaning of it for me, and I think it's kind of obvious, you know, it's a transformation of all of this, you know, like where Buddha says that like all life is suffering. So it's like all this suffering, and I guess it's going into enlightenment. I don't know, you know, I don't know if I think I'm all of those things at the same time. So I am suffering, and I also am completely enlightened, and I have moments and glimpses of each. So that's all. Done.
Wow. Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. What came to mind is when we try to destroy something, we forget the golden rule. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. You know, it just transmutates. And this is an interesting transformation of you know, those CDs into a beautiful art form. Just really remarkable. Yeah, I would love to talk more about enlightenment and the transformation of energy, but I'll end it off by saying the lotus flower, you know, the Indian flower, the flower the Indians people use a lot in their meditation, the beautiful lotus flower. Apparently, it only grows in the stinkiest, dirtiest places.
Oh
so when you think about it, it's like nature takes what's repulsive and makes this beautiful thing out of it. And that's what I see here. And not only in Jess's work, but particularly in your piece, because it addresses that directly, but in the rest of the pieces, because here we are in the middle of a pandemic, but artists defy that and say, no, let's come together and create something beautiful out of this. And with that, I just want to say thank you once again to all the artists for their amazing work, their amazing inspiration, and just giving the world hope that even a pandemic could not stop people from being amazing. And that's the one thing that can't be taken away from us, but that we can allow to go away. And with that, I just want to say I'm honored to be part of such a community that gives so freely, but so richly, without requiring anything back. I mean, if you think about it, tonight we learned about elephants, hummingbirds, neonites, we learned about water and acrylic abstract form in the form of Tracy's work. And we thought about borders and butterflies, how poetic can, you know, and if you take all that and take that CD that you can't even make any possible use out of and create a beautiful art piece to make people think. I think art is political without being aggressive. I think artists are important. I think artists are undervalued. So it's up to us to honor each other and validate each other, because our community is the only true community that understands our value. So with that, I would like to hand it over to the other Wright, who had something to say. You're muted. Yeah, there we go.
Okay. Yes, I'm very impressed with the quality of the work that I saw tonight, the spirituality behind it, and the connectivity of all the differences that I've seen. And from my own experience, Robert, I was in construction for 30 some odd years as an electrician. I worked with a lot of what you did. And Cheryl, you worked with elephants, huh? You knew a lot about elephants that I've observed some of that too, but not nearly as up close as you. And their family life, their community life, their dedication to each other has been phenomenal, even from my distance that I've observed them. And who was it that had the free floating forms, but was talking about the walls?
That was Annamarta.
Annamarta. Congratulations to you. I think that you hit a home run with that. Matter of fact, everybody, I am impressed with everybody here tonight. And I don't want to slight anyone because I saw connectivity between all of their different works. They were beautiful.
Thank you.
And one other thing I'll get off, the lady with the dots.
Yes.
I think that was Deirdre.
Yeah.
I also use a lot of dots too, so you're not alone.
Yeah, you guys should talk, definitely.
There's life in them, there are dots.
While Jess pulls up Wes' work, sorry guys, this is going long, but I have to put Wes on the spot. I would just like to say share something while Jess pulls that up. It was I was still in Zimbabwe then, and it was one morning, I was getting dressed for work, and suddenly these birds came to my window and they were banging against my window. You know, it was the most bizarre thing. And then when I got to work, I got the message that my ex-girlfriend had passed away, you know, and so Deirdre, the birds, it seems to be a phenomenon that does really happen around life and death. And it was so weird. And I just got the chills when you were speaking about your experience. So thanks for sharing that, because I know it's deeply personal, but it's so enlightening and inclusive. It brings us closer together rather than tear us apart. Talking about life and death, here we go. Okay, take it away, Wes. What's this all about?
So I thought that 2020 was the end of the world, so I painted the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Actually, I'd been wanting to paint this for quite a long time, and it seemed like this was the appropriate year to do it. I've always been fascinated with religious and mythological imagery. I think it's some of the strongest subliminal kind of thoughts that are shared by all humans. So, and they've got a little bit of an edge and some scariness to them. The 4 horsemen, here they come. Okay, I don't know what else to say. I like painting colorful, crazy things, so that's what I do. That's how I roll.
I like your candid approach to it. It's just so direct, so candid, so straightforward. This is where we are. This is the imagery for it. Eat it, And what struck me about it is there's a calmness about it. There's almost like a serenity behind it. Yet when you look at the juxtaposition of the subjects themselves, it's almost like this horrendous subject with a calm approach. So there's a kind of push and pull, even with your colors, the blue against the red, there's this push and pull in the work that really leaves the viewer to themselves, because when we're in uncertain situations, what we do is we take a step back. And when you think about it, taking a step back means reflection. We take a moment to reflect or to analyze the situation. I think it's a powerful piece and really speaks to our times. Yes, the Salvador Dali of our times, huh? All right. Do we have any questions for the artists? Oh, for ourselves? Oh, David wants to share something. Okay, you might have to move it closer to the camera. There, oh, whoa.
I've been working on literally the story of my life, and I started with my conception, and here I'm being called to be born.
Wow.
So, thank you.
What inspired the spiral?
You know, from the darkness of the womb to the light calling, the light of life, shifting from one dimensional reality, I guess, if you want to call it that, to another.
Interesting.
Yeah, I actually started with my conception, and 13 pages later, I'm finally getting to my birth.
Wow. Wow. Would love to see the final product of that. Thanks so much for sharing that, David.
Yeah, that's why I haven't posted anything just lately in the artist, because this is going to take about 6 pages. So I wanted to have them all done at once. Thank you for the time.
No, thank you for sharing. We really appreciate that. And thanks for being around. We missed you in the beginning of the discussion. All right. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, everybody. And thanks for staying a bit longer. It has been a fantastic night. We had no idea how it was going to turn out, but we wanted to honor the artists and reflect on the year that we've had. And it turned out to be magnificent. And so for me, the takeaway is you bring artists together and you have life.